Greetings, brothers and sisters. Hello and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm Eva Maria, your Monday hostess for this season, and I apologize for this video being late. I came home from work today and I fell asleep. I was very tired. I'm still kind of tired, but I realized when I woke up, oh my god, it's 11:55 and I need to make my video. So that's why this video is up so late. But this week for season 6, week 20, we're going to be covering book recommendations because so many of us within the pagan community, within the alternative faith community, so many of us tend to draw knowledge from books, and sometimes it's hard to know what books are very worth reading or what books are recommended by those who have kind of explored, I guess you could say, like through trial by fire, without so much of a compass. So, hopefully to save some of you some time so that you don't, well, I guess you could say time and effort, so that you don't sort of wade through so much reading material without as much reward. It kind of makes sense to have some book recommendations, some things that maybe you'd like to be aware of, some things, some recommendations to kind of point you in some good directions. Now, that's not to say that every book we recommend is definitely going to be your cup of tea, but at the same time, I think the books that will be recommended this week will probably be worth at least looking into. You might be able to borrow these books from people that you know, from fellow practitioners, fellow seekers that might have them already. People that, let's say you have a friend that happens to have one of the books that we've mentioned and you just haven't bought it yet and you're not sure if you want to buy it, but maybe you're curious about it. If you have a friend that has the book, you could borrow the book. If you're lucky enough to find a library with these books where they haven't been stolen off the shelves, maybe you can find maybe some of these at a library. But, regardless how you come by these books, we're going to be recommending to you some books that we feel that you might be interested in, that might give you something worthwhile. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you 2 books that I have read and 1 book that I am currently reading. I have just begun to read, though I can't really give you a review on that last book. I feel that it's a book worth mentioning because so far it really seems like an awesome book. So some of you might be interested in that book. Also, I did want to touch upon, before I get into the books that I'm going to recommend and talk about this week, I did want to touch upon this phenomena that kind of happens when you've been studying for a long time. Sometimes you find yourself at a place where you walk into a bookstore and you look at the titles there on the shelf and you search through everything and it feels like everything is elementary and nothing quite speaks to you. There's nothing wrong with that if you find yourself in that place. I have found myself in that place. It's very hard for me to find a book these days that doesn't feel so elementary to me, I think it's just a sign that you've evolved to a certain point that maybe most of your learning will come from practice as opposed to like theory or things that other people can tell you. You come to a point where, see, in the beginning, you're seeking out knowledge so that you can find your way. But I think there comes a point where you really have to practice things hands-on and really sort of discover your own truths and sort of find your own way and there are certain lessons that others just can't teach you. And I'm not saying that's better or worse, that there's a better or worse place to be. I'm just saying if you find yourself in that place where reading material that seems to suit your journey at the time, at the moment, where it doesn't seem to quite suit you, don't feel like there's anything wrong with you. It's just a sign that you've evolved past a certain point. With that said, let's get into my book recommendations. The first book that I'd like to recommend is The 7 Secrets of Synchronicity, Your Guide to Finding Meaning in Signs Big and Small, by Trish McGregor and Rob McGregor. And this is what the cover looks like, at least in the edition that I bought. Sometimes with books, the covers don't always look the same. Sometimes with successive editions, they will change the artwork on the cover, but this is the book that I'm talking about. And the back of the book says, "The hidden magic of the universe revealed. There are signs everywhere, pointing the way to a better life, if you know how to read them. Signs are the stuff that synchronicity is made of. Harness the power of synchronicity and you can transform your life." In this groundbreaking book, the best-selling authors Trish and Rob McGregor revealed the 7 secrets that allow you to recognize synchronicity when it happens and make the most of it. You'll learn to interpret the meaning of the signs you encounter every day and use such tools as the tarot, I Ching, and astrology to understand your past, inform your present, and guide your future. Synchronicity, your key to making magic in your own life. And it also goes on to talk about the authors. It says Trish McGregor and Rob McGregor have been professional writers for 25 years. One synchronicity after another led to their many nonfiction books on dreams, psychic development, astrology, yoga and tarot, divination, and animal symbolism. This acclaimed award-winning author team has appeared on the Learning Channel, the History Channel, and Sci-Fi. They currently live in Wellington, Florida. I'm suggesting this book because I find that oftentimes when divinity or when ancestors or when various spirits or entities or intelligences tend to communicate with us, I find that they tend to do so through synchronistic signs, through messages within synchronicity. And I don't know that everyone feels the same, and that's fine, but I think it's very important that we learn to recognize and decipher such signs. Again, they're sort of like a compass in life. I briefly touched upon the idea that, books can be a compass, in terms of learning. It can sort of point you in the right direction, I guess you could say, or sort of helps you to find your way. Well, synchronistic signs, in a greater sense, they can be a compass for life. And I do suggest this book highly. The chapters in this book include, now first of all, there's part 1 and part 2. This book is broken up in 2. But the chapters include, in part 1, the secrets. Secret 1, the knowing. Secret 2, the heart. Secret 3, the theory. Secret 4, the creative. Secret 5, the clusters. Secret 6, the trickster. Secret 7, the global. Then in part 2, the magic, we have divining and synchronicity. We have animal oracles, journeys, engaging the divine. And then there is a conclusion to this book. There are resources and there is an index. But I definitely enjoyed reading this book. This is a book that I can see myself referring back to. I have not had the time yet to really refer back to it as I want to. But yeah, if you can check out The 7 Secrets of Synchronicity, if you're able to get your hands on this book, I think you would enjoy it very much. Another book that I would like to recommend is one that I recommend a lot. I've recommended it in other videos. I'm not sure if I've recommended it on this channel. I may have in the past, but I'm going to recommend it again. This book is such an awesome book relating to seasonal times and tides and observances and, sacred time, all kind of things like that. It's called Celestially Auspicious Occasions, Seasons, Cycles, and Celebrations by Donna Hennes. And that is the cover. And I got this book at a little bookstore in New York City. Just by chance. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't know what I wanted to buy. I was just kind of looking through, and I saw this, and I was like, this seems like a really cool book. And oh my God, it is. And I go back to this book all the time. Especially, it's like Sabbath times, or at the changing of seasons. I will usually refer back to this book, and I'll look up, the section that has to do with whatever, Sabbath is going on, or whatever seasonal shift, or, other things like that. I tend to refer to this book. I tend to refer back to it a lot. And the back of the book says, "To everything there is a season." Ecclesiastes 3:1. And then it says, "From ancient times to the present, there have been special days that mark the passage of time, announce the arrival or repeat of the sun, moon, and stars, and signify holy days and holidays alike." Celestially Auspicious Occasions presents a fascinating cross-cultural exploration of the rites and rituals inspired by heavenly events. More than just history, Celestially Auspicious Occasions examines everything from the early origins of Halloween to the appearance of the blue moon to the connection between ancient Egyptian beliefs and contemporary Easter eggs. In addition, it reveals the traditions and practices that unite humanity to the cosmic center of the universe. Celestially Auspicious Occasions is a unique celebration of the varied and wonderful ways people have interpreted cycles of the seasons across the planet and across time, and suggests how these practices can inspire us to honor and safeguard our place in the cosmos. And it goes on to talk about the author. Donna Hennes is an internationally recognized artist, writer, and urban shaman whose joyful celebrations of celestial events have introduced ancient rituals and rites to thousands of people in more than 50 major cities and 9 countries. She travels extensively, leading workshops and seminars, and is the author of 2 books and the syndicated column Celestially Auspicious Occasions. Oh, excuse me. Oh my God. I had to yawn. Oh, I'm so tired. So, let me read to you the contents. Okay, and again, this book is separated into 2 parts, just like the last book I spoke about. Part 1, we have Celestially Auspicious Occasions. And the chapters in that part are the Great Round, the Winter Solstice, Midwinter, the Spring Equinox, Mid-Spring, the Summer Solstice, Midsummer, the Autumn Equinox, Mid-Fall. It also talks about the sun, the moon, the stars, total eclipse of the sun, and lunar eclipse. Part 2 is Telling Time, and the chapters in Telling Time are About Time, the Day, the Week, the Month, Once in a Blue Moon, Leap Year, the New Year, Birthdays. And then there's a a bibliography at the end of the book. But this book is probably one of the greatest books that I have ever read, and I highly suggest it. If you have not heard of it, you really, really, really may want to read this book. Okay, and so that's me reviewing those books, letting you know that they're great books, telling you about them in brief, because I am trying to hurry up and make this video. But those are some awesome books. The book I'm reading now that I would like to talk about is DIY magic, strange and whimsical. Oh my god, I can't speak. Let me start that again. Let me try that again. DIY Magic, A Strange and Whimsical Guide to Creativity by Anthony Alvarado. And this is how the book looks. The heck is stuck to the back of the book? Sticker was on the back of my book. Yes, this is the way the book looks. I was actually looking at this book. Slow down. Let me slow down. I was actually looking at this book online for a while. I forget how I came across it online, but I was looking at this book and thinking that I should probably get this book. And I'm so glad that I did. Again, I'm just beginning to read it, but I think that this is a book that a lot of you may be very interested in. It's very much centered around thinking outside the box, which I am very much all for, being a coyote. And let me read you the back of the book so you have an idea what it's kind of about. It says, a book of magic, a book of mind hacks, a cookbook for creativity. DIY Magic is an extraordinary collection of techniques for reaching deeper levels of creative thought, for accessing the power of the subconscious. From vision quests and divination by crows to bibliomancy and using legal stimulants, the book also highlights some of the many practices used by such notable visionaries as Salvador Dali, David Lynch, and Leonardo da Vinci, as it explores creativity through the lens of actual magic, the art of tapping into the source of inspiration and transforming the mundane into the amazing. You'll discover such mind-expanding exercises as lucid dreaming, building your own tarot deck, invisibility, creating a memory palace, getting lost in a familiar city. Illustrated throughout by a host of equally visionary artists, the startling and sometimes counterintuitive concepts in this book will help anyone chasing the muse, from artists and musicians to writers and others, as you learn to pull the strings of everyday reality and unlock the magic of the creative mind. Then then it goes on to speak about the author, as is usual. Anthony Alvarado has been a forest firefighter, a high school science teacher, a security guard, a telephone psychic, and a mental health counselor. He lives with a cat, a dog, and a girl in Portland, Oregon. When he is not doing magical experiments, he spends his time writing and trying not to drink too much coffee. Well, like I was saying, there's a lot of exercises in this book. It's good for those, I think, who want to maybe expand their arsenal of techniques, but I think the way that Anthony Alvarado presents techniques in this book, I think he kind of puts a spin on them that are not so much the usual. Again, thinking outside the box is very much something that seems to come through this book. It seems to sort of be like the goal ultimately. And there are certain things I really like so far. For example, the way that Anthony Alvarado describes, or defines, I should say, manifestation. He defines it as creating something in reality by thinking about it first. That is one of the best definitions I have ever heard for manifestation. It's so true. You know, whether on a mundane level or whether on a magical level, it really is creating something in reality by thinking about it first. I also love that Anthony Alvarado said in this book, by changing the way you perceive the world, you change your world. That is so true in my experience. I really do believe that is true. So, if you're interested in thinking outside the box, if you're interested in maybe expanding your arsenal of magical techniques, if you're looking to cultivate more creativity in your life as well as in your magic. I do think that you will probably enjoy DIY Magic, A Strange and Whimsical Guide to Creativity by Anthony Alvarado. So check that out. I'm still reading it. So far, it looks really good. So far, it's been really fun to read. So if you're not sure what to maybe check out, what to look at, I'd say, look for this book, and if you find it in a bookstore, at least flip through it, because I think it might be a book you might want to get. So, I guess that is pretty much the extent of my video for Season 6, Week 20. And I hope that you find the suggestions that I've put forth to be interesting. And if you do buy or borrow any of these books, I hope that they do give you very much, in terms of food for thought, in terms of knowledge, in terms of, something useful for your journey. And with that said, I'm going to wish you all blessed be and Ashe. I encourage you all to stay tuned this week. Check out everybody else's recommendations, because we're all so different, and, nobody's read everything, so I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone else has read and found to be very useful and helpful and inspiring. And I think you all should too, stay tuned and check that out. And until next week, until our next exchange, not even next week, because we're at the end of the season, what the hell am I saying? Until next time, until our next exchange, you all stay awesome. And bye-bye for now.